Hi, my name is ROSLAN. We are from Group 7 and we are presenting about the topic of Digital Educational Learning Initiative in Malaysia, which is called as DELIMa. Without further ado, let's start the presentation with the introduction of education in Malaysia. Education in Malaysia is overseen by the Ministry of Education. Although education is the responsibility of the federal government, each state and federal territory has an education department to coordinate educational matters in its territory. The main legislation governing education is the Education Act 1996. The education system is divided into preschool education, primary education, secondary education, post-secondary education, and tertiary education. For the international and private institutions, they will be charged school fees. By law, primary education is compulsory. In Malaysia, e-learning has been developed under the umbrella of educational technology programs offered by the government through the Malaysian Ministry of Education. E-learning programs actively began with a pilot named Smart Schools project in 1998 when teachers in selected smart schools were given the opportunity to use interactive courseware to teach subjects in the classroom. These initiatives were designed to provide an incentive to the schools to use computer technology in teaching and learning activities. Unfortunately, the interactive courseware in Malaysia is not fully successful by the year of 2005 in terms of instructional design and interface design, which the courseware does not accommodate an user's interest, preference, and needs. For these reasons, teachers have been returned to using the printed textbooks for teaching and learning. Moreover, some teachers have been claimed that teaching with interactive courseware requires more preparation work. Hence, the interactive courseware is likely to remain untouched during that year. Clearly, interactive courseware should not be expected to replace teachers' roles in delivering the knowledge but must seen as a tool for engaging students in the curriculum and must do so in an engaging way that involves both teachers and students interacting with the courseware. Therefore, in order to ensure the successful adoption of interaction courseware in Malaysian classrooms, the most important considerations are the quality of the interface and instructional design, as these design factors provide the basics for access and engagement, and the development of interactive courseware should be based on theoretical understanding of the process learning, because the main goal should be to help students gain knowledge.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NURIN AFRINA binti SHAMSUL, and now I will continue with the presentation on the background of education system in Malaysia. Before this, the education system is used Frog Virtual Learning Environment, specifically Frog VLE. Frog VLE is a system of virtual learning which focuses to simplifying and enhancing teaching and learning process for teacher and student. The Ministry of Education (MOE) has first introduced a system of e-learning in which it is applicable to about 10,000 of primary and secondary school in Malaysia. It is also use of information and communication technology (ICT) for 21st century learning system. With this, the process of delivering the information and learning will be effective. Frog VLE is a web-based system where teacher can upload the content like picture, videos, and class exercise in the platform.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Muhammad Shafi bin Abdul Aziz and I will present about DELIMa. So, what is DELIMa? Following a multi-year collaboration with Google, Microsoft and Apple, the Ministry of Education Malaysia (MOE) announced the relaunch of DELIMa, or Digital Educational Learning Initiative Malaysia, which is a digital learning platform for teachers, educators and students. It is a rebranding of MOE Digital Learning Platform, which was created after the Frog VLE. The platform includes technology and tools to support digital education such as Google Classroom, Microsoft 365 and Apple Teacher Learning Center, as well as all digital apps and services needed by teachers and students in the Malaysian school system. The Ministry of Education (MOE) collaborates with a number of organizations to provide learning content to teachers and students, including Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation (MDEC), DG, UNICEF, ASTRO and National Library of Malaysia. Why DELIMa is used? DELIMa was used because of the pandemic COVID-19 that occurred in Malaysia that forced the government at that time to implement Movement Control Order MCO to control the spread of the virus. The Movement Control Order 1.0 or MCO 1.0, when most schools were forced to close owing to COVID-19, online learning was considered as a way for teachers to communicate their knowledge with students. As a result, the Ministry of Education MOE opted to replace physical schools with online learning platforms to continue delivering lessons. Therefore, one of the initiatives made by the MOE is using the DELIMa as an online learning platform. The importance of DELIMa for education during Movement Control Order MCO. First, empowering the sharing of ideas from teachers. DELIMa is a sharing and collaboration website that allows teachers to share and discuss educational ideas. As a result, they provide the Ruang Ilmu platform on DELIMa, which is the teachers are invited to share any educational content through the use of a specific page provided by the MOE on the site. This is to encourage teachers to share educational materials and provide opportunities for teachers to help one another. Second, transformation digital with democratization of the platform. With the transformation digital, MOE could achieve the goals of to improve efficiency, value and innovation of education in Malaysia. Thus, DELIMa is the platform to provide the teachers and students to adopt technology into their learning process for them to be more competent and able to gain new knowledge and skills in using the technology, especially with the current Industrial Revolution 4.0. The democratization of learning in DELIMa could further boost in achieving the objective, developing student skills for future needs and fostering the sharing of expertise and talents as a means of community development. Compare DELIMa and Frog VLE. Frog Virtual Learning Environment or Frog VLE is a cloud-based learning platform. Teachers, students and parents can use the network to share learning resources, engage in interactive learning and communicate in real time. Each school has its own page with forums which can only be accessible by students and teachers from that school. Meanwhile, Digital Educational Learning Initiative Malaysia DELIMa is the better platform for learning with more updates and using sophisticated software from Google, Microsoft and Apple. The distinction of DELIMa and with Frog VLE is that DELIMa has a lot of functions. For example, DELIMa has the function of providing digital textbooks that can be used by the students in order to read the textbooks of any subject digitally.
So our first issue is on technology issue. First, lack of technology facilities. DELIMa is one program that has been created by the government to help students generally to face the COVID-19 problem. As mentioned, DELIMa is an improvement from the last program that the government introduced, which is Frog VLE. DELIMa is focusing on helping school students to get knowledge even though they do not have to attend school physically. The DELIMa idea was really good because in this program it consists of collaboration with some application that help students to do online learning. The problem and challenges arise from the student that face e-learning program. E-learning means that the student do not have to study face-to-face with the teacher but truly online, which is using the internet or the technology. But the question now is, do all students of this school have such gadget and technology? There are no doubt that many children have access to the such technology, but there are some students who cannot attend online classes because they do not have the device to access. As many know that the price of devices like smartphone, laptop and so on are very expensive. For families that cannot afford the expensive price, they will be trouble buying a device like this. As we know that when COVID-19 hit Malaysia, there were many parents who had lost their job. According to the Athirah article, 34.4 on food beverage sector, 21.9 agriculture sector and 11.8 on construction sector is the percentage of workers who lost their job, and what we can see that many parents are affected by COVID-19. As we have seen that the DELIMa program is very beneficial to students in particular because they can learn even without having to go to school and interact with other people in order to curb COVID-19 cases. But the main issue here is not the program, but it causes by the situation that have been faced by the people and students. The role of electronic device is very important because in this pandemic era, teachers give schoolwork, online learning video and use several platforms supported by DELIMa. This program is very good because it provides facilities and exposure to students and teachers to use technology. But if the problem because of the device itself, then the government need to find other alternatives to ensure the student get a proper education. According to Senior Minister of Education Dr. Muhammad Razif Majidin, there are around 36.9% of students that do not have access to the electronic device. Besides the absence of the electronic device, students will be left behind and can result in increase in illiteracy in Malaysia. According to Berita Harian, it has been stated that COVID-19 has affected the 3M skill of students as schools are closed and learning sessions cannot be implemented. The government has taken the initiative to reduce this by creating online learning for students, but if the students do not have the device to learn virtually, then they still will left behind. Among the way to ensure that these students get the convenience to access the device is by providing assistance in form of electronic device. Other than that, the government can also create a program where if school and university students want to buy electronic devices, they can get a discount of 30 or 40% for this. So the next challenges is about the internet connection problem. Apart from the problem of devices to access platforms such as Google Meet, Microsoft and so on, the problem of internet connection is also a big challenge for this student. If a student has an electronic device but do not have internet, it does not give any benefit to the student. The device is a medium to make it easier for students to do their work online. For example, with laptop or tab, students can create their work in Microsoft Word and so on. But if they want to submit their homework, they have been completed, they need the internet to submit their homework. So based on Berita Harian, there are 52% of students in Sabah have problem with internet access. Based on this percentage, people can see that this is a big obstacle for these students to learn throughout online. When they do not have an internet connection, the PDPR learning is impossible to be implemented. One of the ways is District Education Office, PPD, is trying to find other alternative by sending books and exercise for students who do not have internet access. This is one of the ways to ensure that the students are not left behind in the lesson. With this can be seen that the lack of internet access in an area will be difficult for various parties and the learning process become difficult. Not only the rural area of Sabah are experiencing these things, even the rural area in Peninsular Malaysia still does not have an internet network. To access the internet, students need to purchase data to access the internet, and this will arise another part of issue, which is about the data purchase for the internet. So the next challenges is lack of communication between the teacher and student. As people know that in learning, communication is the main thing. Without communication, the learning will not happen. The face-to-face learning method make teacher and student have two-way communication, where there are teachers who teach and students ask if they do not know about the topic. At the same time, there are also a group discussion and presentation done in classroom, but the opposite happen in the learning process. For PDPR or online learning, it can be said that most teachers will teach from beginning to end without any space for students to ask questions, and process discussion between the student in group only happen through chat on Telegrams, WhatsApp. So face-to-face learning, the teacher can create a lot of activity and group discussion for the student. But if learning online, the activities that teacher want to do are limited. For example, teacher want to do a group work online, it is quite difficult because not all students can be anticipated in the activity due to the problem accessing the internet, not having electronic devices such as phone, computer and so on. This online learning is very good to reduce the case of COVID-19, but the bad effect make the student be passive and less motivated to learn. Besides, it can lead to lack of communication between the teacher and the student. When online learning be conducted, the teacher hard to control or observe the student in class, but it is based on effort and self-discipline of the student to learn itself. Therefore, to prevent the lack of communication problems that arise between the student and teacher, it is important for this teacher to have a knowledge on how to teach and motivate students so that they can become more motivated to learn. According to Guerrero and Floyd, people that have a very good communication skill will inspire and give a positive influence to other people. When the teacher have a good communication skill, the student will be interested in the subject and they will be more excited to learn, and two-way communication will occur between the student and the teacher.
Next, we will continue with the readiness in adapting digital learning. The first challenges is the teachers who lack competency in ICT. Based on the news, it said that many teachers still need the guidance of technical aspect in online teaching. Due to the current changes, the term emergency remote teaching (ERT) was introduced. However, before the implementation, teachers are not being taught properly in technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge (TPACK) framework also does not help much since it is only focused on content and pedagogy, but during the education training program, it does not emphasize on technology knowledge as an impact. Still, so many teachers are not being exposed to technological knowledge. The other challenges is the impact on the student mental health. According to Sinar Harian, online learning can give impact on mental, physical, emotional, and social for the student. Dr. Mimi, who is a clinical psychologist, said that when the students are too much confronted with the screen, it can damage the condition of the eyes physically and then can impact their emotion. Eventually, due to this issue, the student will have difficulties in sleeping and experience emotional disturbance.
Surfing the web or connecting to social media at home, in the office or at school has become a natural part of daily life for many in the world. It may seem unthinkable. Unfortunately, there are still people in Malaysia who remain disconnected from the digital world. Children and young people from the poorest households, rural and lower income states are falling even further behind their peers and are left with a very little opportunity to ever catch up. The COVID-19 pandemic has stressed the importance of the broadband internet to support access to education. The education sector should be prioritized in the government budget, especially in the provision of the improved internet access and digital devices, with home-based teaching and learning set to continue as the part of the new norm. The government must expand more the coverage for mobile broadband. It is to improve the 2G services that are currently in use at a certain area in the rural which have less service coverage. With the implementation of this initiative, the use of mobile broadband will expand at the same time increase the rate of penetration of the national broadband to a higher level. In order to increase the penetration rate of national broadband, the government must put more effort into providing broadband infrastructures with more speed in areas that lack services coverage in rural areas. The initiative is implemented by upgrading the core network, which connects to the computing system exchange to the cabinet until it reaches the residence or the premise. Hence, the broadband service which can reach up to more speed can be provided commercially to the users. As aligned with it, the government has already put the efforts to solve the matters by introducing the National Broadband Initiative. The National Broadband Initiative was launched by the former Prime Minister of Malaysia, The Yang Bagi Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak, on 24 March 2010. The initiative is supported by the Malaysian government through the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commissions. It's a plan for a strategy for the implementation of a national broadband. Despite all of it, research conducted by the Education Ministry showed that the majority of the students from rural areas still do not possess access to the internet. This shows that Malaysia is still lack of service coverage, especially in rural areas. Therefore, the government must put more effort into solving this matter and should be prioritized in the government budget, especially in the provision of improved internet access and digital devices.
Next is the teachers must get feedback for the online learning. DELIMa is no doubt that it is a platform that takes the students and teachers into the next level of online learning. However, the teacher still needs to get feedback from the students regarding their online learning session. It is not only that to improve their communication, but it can enable the teachers to identify what need to be enhanced so that the students that having a hard time during online learning not get left behind. The teachers could provide a feedback form that can be done through Google Form to the students. Other than that, the feedback could be effectively and efficiently done by streaming video with all the students. For example, using Google Meet to stream video, record audio, or use screen capturing, which is an excellent way to personalize their feedback.
So the suggestion to overcome those issues is by having a guidelines in succeeding online learning, like to provide training and guidance to the teachers in technological field. According to Malaysian Education Technology Association, Dr. Mahizir, he stated that teachers need to upgrade their knowledge and learn new skills. Here, he said that the state-level education resources and technology must give training and guidance, and also district level to provide facilities and send qualified personnel in order to assist the teachers. Also, the Ministry of Education and Google Malaysia collab together to train teachers up to 5,000 teachers in Google Certified in DELIMA certification program. The other suggestion is by understanding emotional stress among the student. Here, the teachers and parents play an important role to help reduce the difficulties of the student face during their studies. For example, the teachers can have interesting learning session by using quizzes and maybe take some time to ask the student to stand up and take a minute or two to do exercise activities in front of their screen in order to stabilize their emotion and intellectual. As for the parents, they can give advice and reminders to have a break between learning session if they are too tired to study.
In conclusion, the DELIMA program is one of the initiatives of the government to improve the education system in Malaysia. This program is one of the government initiatives to promote e-learning in Malaysia. Education is an important thing for a developed country. In the process, the government want to implement this program, there are also some challenges that need to be faced by the government as well as the students and people that involved in this program. Among the challenges that have been discussed are the technology issue, lack of communication, and also the readiness in adapting to digital learning. As a result of discussion and research, it can seem a various way done by the government to eradicate the challenges that have been arise. With various suggestions and observations, Malaysia can improve in terms of e-learning or online learning. To be a developed country, not only economics or politics play a main role to develop a country, but also education take part in building a progressive country. That's all from us. Thank you.